June 7. 218. Marcus Aurelius Severus Macrinus, Emperor of Rome, beheaded by his soldiers. He was an African, and rose from the obscure situation to the throne on the death of Caracalla. 632. Muhammad or Muhammad, founder of the Islam religion, died, aged 62. His followers are now computed at 100 millions. 1099. The army of Christians comprising the First Crusade, encamped before Jerusalem. The first army led on by Peter the Hermit, numbered at the outset 300,000. Another of 600,000 followed, burning with zeal to rescue the Holy Land from the Muslim dominion. Battle, desertion and disease had thinned their ranks so that now there remained scarce 22,000 fit for the field, of all that vast host that had marshaled in Europe. 1329. Robert Bruce, King of Scotland, died. He succeeded by repeated and arduous efforts in freeing his country from the English yoke, and when he had accomplished his purpose, he devoted himself to advance the prosperity of his subjects. 1520. Famous interview between Henry VIII of England and Francis I of France, upon the field of the Cloth of Gold, on English ground, 18 days. 1546. Archbishop Cranmer and the Queen accused of heresy, but protected by Henry. 1565. Sir Thomas Gresham laid the foundation of the Royal Exchange, London, on the model of the Mard at Antwerp, then the centre of commerce. 1593. Lopez, a Jew, the Queen's physician, convicted and with others executed, for conspiring to destroy Elizabeth. 1629. Charters granted to patroons in the colony of New Netherland, now New York. 1660. An order of council that the Stationers' Company to seize and deliver to the Secretary of State all copies of Buchanan's History of Scotland, and to Jure, Regni apud Scotus, which are very pernicious to monarchy, and injurious to His Majesty's blessed progenitors. 1663. Second War at Esopus, now Kingston, in Ulster County, New York. 1673. Action between the Dutch Admiral de Ruyter, and the French and English fleets, commanded by d'Esters. 1692. Great earthquake in Jamaica. 9/10 of Port Royal buried under water, and terrible devastations were made over the whole island. About 1,000 acres were sunk northward of the city, and 2,000 persons perished, and 3,000 white inhabitants perished of pestilential diseases ascribed to the putrid effluvia issuing from the apertures. 1711. Henry Dudwell, a learned English writer, died, aged 70. His writings, which are very numerous, and which prove him to have been a man of indefatigable diligence, and extensive learning, are on controversial, theological and classical subjects. 1731. William Maitman, an eminent Scottish painter, died. He was the intimate friend of the most distinguished characters of the day in England, whose portraits he painted, and thus unwittingly added much to their celebrity. 1751. John Machin, a noted English astronomer, died. He is the author of a method of determining the quadrature of the circle. 1753. Archibald Cameron, brother of Lochiel, executed. Recently the estates of this attainted family have been restored. The execution of this gentleman has always been held as a specimen of ministerial cruelty. 1761. Belle Isle, on the coast of Brittany, surrendered to the British. Its reduction cost an immense sum, besides the loss of 2,000 choice troops, who perished. In the expedition, British had 313 killed and 494 wounded. 1769. Anthony Alexander Henry Poinçonnet died. A French dramatic writer. 1775. The General Court of Massachusetts met at Salem, and chose delegates to the First Congress. 1779. William Warburton, Bishop of Gloucester, died. An English prelate of great abilities. 1780. London riots continued. King's Bench, Fleet Prison, New Bridewell, and the toll gates on Blackfriars Bridge, etc., burned. The military fired on the rioters. Killed 210 and wounded 258. 1780. Unsuccessful attempt of the Spaniards with 10 fire ships to burn 3 British ships in the New Mole, Gibraltar Bay. 1780. About 5,000 British under Nafazan, Tryon and Sterling, left Staten Island and entered Elizabethtown, New Jersey. Continuing their march 5 miles farther, to Connecticut farms, they shot the minister's wife in the midst of her children, burned the house and church, and had much other pastime of the like character. 1786. A small manuscript volume of prayers composed and written by Queen Elizabeth, sold at auction for 100 guineas. 1794. Battle of Chelm. The Poles defeated by the Russians. 1795. The Royalist expedition against Quiburn, assisted by English munitions and money, terminated disastrously for the royal cause. The Republicans obtained possession of clothing and equipment which had been landed for 40,000 men. 1795. Luxembourg, in Belgium, under Marshal Baron de Bender, surrendered to the French under Jinhutry. 1798. Battle of Antrim. Lord O'Neill killed with a pike. 1805. The Antigua convoy for England, captured and burned by the combined French and Spanish fleets. 1811. Tremendous hailstorm at Alexandria, Virginia. 1826. Joseph von Fraunhofer died. A celebrated German optician. 1831. Sarah Siddons, a celebrated English tragic actress, died. She was the daughter of Roger Kemble, manager of a strolling company, married Siddons in her 18th year, and in 1782, appeared at Drury Lane in the character of Isabella. Her course from that time was a perpetual triumph, and in 1812 she retired to private life, with an ample fortune. 1836. Nathan Drake, an English physician, died. Also a highly respectable and voluminous author. 1836. John Prince, an American clergyman, died at Salem, Massachusetts, aged 85. Distinguished for his talents and literary acquirements, and for his improvements in the air pump. 1840. Frederick William III, King of Prussia, died, aged 70. He is characterized as an honest, just and economical ruler, destined to take an active part in the great events which followed the French Revolution. His reign was distinguished by great vicissitudes of ill fortune and success. He left a fortune of nearly $20 million. 1848. George Tripner, an officer of the Revolution, died at Philadelphia, aged 87. He was at many of the severest battles of the war, and throughout the entire campaign rendered no little service to his country. 1848. Whig Convention at Philadelphia nominated John Zachary Taylor for the presidency. 1852. Hosea Ballou, a distinguished Universalist preacher, died, aged 80. He was excluded from the Baptist Church, and began to preach in 1791. 1853. Important amendments were made to the New York City Charter, restraining the power of municipal officers in money matters, which were adopted by a vote of 36,672 against 3,351. 1855. The Allies attacked and carried some of the Russian outworks at Sebastopol. The French, those in front of the mainland, and the British the quarries of the Redan. The Russians made 6 front attempts in the course of the night to recover them, but without success. British loss in killed and wounded 30 officers and 433 men. French loss in killed and wounded estimated at 475 guns and 502 prisoners were taken from the Russians. 1856. Christian Wolfe, a Danish naval officer, died at Beaufort, North Carolina, aged 46. He was sometime at the head of the Naval Academy at Copenhagen, and inheriting the literary taste of his father, Admiral Wolfe, he translated Shakespeare and Bancroft's History of the United States, and at the time of his death was making the tour of the United States.